Are you, by any chance, Alex's mom?
Yeah, I am.
I'm Brian's mom. Hi, I'm
Oh,
Jessica.
hi, Jessica. I'm Kaylin.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
You
Alex
too.
and Brian are becoming fast friends.
They really are. They really are. In fact, this morning Brian was asking if Alex could come over for a play day, so I'm glad we ran into you. Would maybe sometime next week work?
Yeah, that sounds great. What did you have in mind?
Let's see. Well, we have a pretty big backyard with a play set and a sandbox, and I love to garden, so if it's a nice day, I figured we'd just hang out there.
Oh, Alex loves being outside, so that's perfect.
Great.
Will anybody else be around?
I haven't invited anyone else, so it'd just be me and the two kids until about 4 o'clock. My daughter comes home from dance class.
Okay. Do you mind if I stick around a while? Sometimes I like to do that just to ensure Alex is comfortable, and I'd like to get to know you a little better as well.
Oh, sure. That sounds great. I'd like that.
Awesome. The other thing I like to do is just share with you some of the rules we have in our house, and of course hear about the rules you have in your house as well, to ensure that Alex has the correct expectations.
Right.
Things just like wearing your bike helmet when you ride your bike,
Sure.
and buckling up if we're ever in the car anywhere.
Right.
And also what we call body safety rules.
Okay. I'm not familiar with those. What are body safety rules?
They're really rules that we've taught Alex just to keep his body safe.
Okay.
And to be honest, Jessica, it's a little awkward for me, but I'm going to tell you anyway because I think it's best if we're all up front. And
Okay.
it's things like we don't keep secrets in our house, keeping your clothes on when you're playing with your friends.
Okay.
No one's allowed to touch Alex's private parts, and he's not allowed to touch other people's private parts.
Okay.
And if somebody were to touch his private parts, we've taught him that it's okay to say no and to tell. Have you had similar conversations with Brian?
We have talked to our kids about their private parts, but some of that information is definitely new, and I appreciate you bringing it up. I've never had this conversation with parents before.
Yeah, I appreciate your receptiveness. It's really helpful. It helps me feel better knowing that you have similar rules in your house when Alex comes to play. So I'd love to talk with you more about it. Maybe we can talk about it next week.
Yeah, that sounds great. I would like that. Thanks.
Good. Thanks so much.
Sure.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi.
Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me. I'm going through this process of interviewing schools for my daughter, Coco, because she's going to be starting kindergarten this fall. So in addition to kind of learning about the kindergarten program and the staff and the educational philosophies here at MAC, I'm interested to know about your child sexual abuse prevention policies and how you keep kids safe.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're interested, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Oh, wonderful. So I have to say that these questions I have about child sexual abuse prevention are questions that I ask all of Coco's caregivers, babysitters, teachers, camp counselors, and even my own family. Child sexual abuse is such a scary topic, and as a mother, I want to do everything I can to prevent it.
Well, I'm impressed, and I'm happy to answer all of your questions.
Oh, great. So I guess my first question would be around adults being alone with children, and I guess teachers or adults, and then when would this happen, and if so, how would it be monitored?
Well, I can assure you children are rarely alone with an adult. We usually have 2 to 3 adults in a classroom or on the playground with children. I say rarely because every once in a while we can have a situation where a staff member needs to help a child go inside to toilet, or there might be an emergency. So our policy around this is that that staff member would check in with another staff member, tell them where they're going, how long they expect to be gone, what they're going to be doing, and then when they come back, they check in with that same staff member to just close that loop. Okay. And if you look in our classrooms, all of our toilets are small, and we have half walls or half doors so that students can toilet as independently as they're comfortable, but we're right there if they need our help.
Okay, that's good to hear. So as far as like teenagers or older children being alone with the younger children, would that happen?
No, we always have our students supervised by an adult.
Okay. Now, when you're hiring your teachers, in addition to kind of the normal background check, what other kind of screening do you do?
Well, I do all the screening and the hiring. So we do the criminal checks, we do the background checks. In addition to that, I make it clear first thing to all our candidates that MAC is an off-limits school, that we practice body safety policies, And then in my interview questions, I ask them about their sexual abuse prevention training that they've ever had. I have questions around keeping secrets from children and inappropriate touch. So what I do is I make it very uncomfortable for someone who has ill intentions to work here.
Oh, that's a relief to hear. Okay, so the next kind of question is kind of a scenario question. Our family is dealing with this situation where my daughter likes to get naked and take her clothes off. And she'll do this at play dates, at home, you know, even maybe at school. So how would you handle that?
Well, we work with body safety rules with our children all the time. So this would just be a situation where we would redirect her to put on her clothes because we don't have our clothes off at school, and then go on to another activity. And so just so you know, this is completely normal, and we just help the students keep their clothes on.
Oh, it's such a relief because it's kind of embarrassing. So, well, Nancy, I really appreciate you taking the time to tell me about your child sexual abuse prevention policies here at MAC. And it sounds great. You know, everything I've heard is wonderful. So let me think about, you know, my options and then get back to you maybe in a couple weeks or something.
That's great. And I'm really glad you're considering the Montessori Academy of Colorado. We really are excited to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much.
Hi, Coach Hyatt.
Hi.
I'm Julie.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. My grandson wants to play soccer this fall, and I've heard some really good things about your league.
Okay.
I'd like to know a little more about your program.
Sure. It's ages 7 to 10. We practice once a week. Games are on Saturday mornings. The focus of our program is sportsmanship, teamwork, and having fun.
Good. That's a lot of what we're looking for. So I'd like to ask you some questions that we ask all of the caregivers of Brandon, people who are responsible for him when we're not around, and they have to do with safety, particularly body safety.
Yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, good. Well, I'm always interested in what youth organizations have in the way of policies for minimizing the risk of child sexual abuse. So I'd like to know what you do in the, particularly the sense of screening employees.
Well, for all prospective employees, we administer criminal background checks.
Good, good. That's a good start. I've learned about sexual offenders and being on the list, they need to be convicted. And I've heard that very few sexual offenders are ever convicted, and so they don't show up. So what else do you do to screen your employees?
I personally interview every prospective employee. Included in that interview is a section about appropriate touch with children. I agree with you that it's a very important thing to try to catch.
Wonderful. So do your employees receive any other sexual prevention, child sexual prevention training?
Before each season, we have an orientation and a training session. In that, there is a section about appropriate boundaries for touch for children. And we have a written policy that is given to the employees at that orientation that has a very distinct section about our policies around touch in children.
Wow, you've put a lot of thought into this. May I receive a copy of the written policy? I'd like to share it with our family.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Oh, good.
I will get you a copy of that.
Good. I have another question, and it's probably in your policies, but will Brandon or another child ever be alone with an adult?
No, absolutely not. We have a very clear policy around that. More than one adult must be present at all times, and Brandon will not be alone at any time.
Good. I think this is going to be a good fit. I'd like to tell you about Brandon's body safety rules, and we tell all of his caregivers this because if a situation arises, then they understand what he's talking about. So Brandon is excited about learning the rules of the game, and I'm sure he'll follow your instructions, but he knows if there's ever a rule that makes him feel unsafe, he doesn't have to follow that one. And Brandon is the boss of his own body, and he doesn't keep secrets from his parents or his grandparents. He knows to talk to a trusted adult if he ever feels unsafe or scared. And his last rule is Brandon does not allow anyone to touch the private areas of his body, and he doesn't touch the private areas of anyone else's body. So I think we've got a good fit here. I know he's excited about playing soccer. Do these rules make sense to you?
Oh yeah, that's a great set of rules. They're completely in keeping with the policies of our program. I'll tell you, Brandon's very lucky to have a grandparent that is this engaged with this topic, and we really look forward to having him on the team.
Thank you.
Thank you.